At what point does tradition stop being sacred and starts becoming a performance? Because somewhere between the coordinated outfits, the grocery lists, the cameras, and the social media posts, something about the Roora or Lobola ceremony changed. As the sun rises on the Shumba household, waitresses are already rushing across the yard with chefing dishes. The head chef moves silently between the kitchen and the serving tables, tasting the food with small nods of approval. Everywhere you look, matching decor, matching outfits, and professional camera crews. A giant banner stretches across the entrance written, "Welcome, Vakwasha." This is no small gathering, and before a single guest has even arrived, thousands of dollars are already gone. For some, this might not sound like much, but in Zimbabwe, for an ordinary family, that kind of money can change things. The pressure is not coming from the family anymore. It's the audience, the invisible judges behind the screen. Every outfit gets noticed, every decoration gets compared, and every single moment is recorded. Last month, Paida had hers. They had drones. Choosing the right photographer has become almost as important as the ceremony itself because the goal is no longer only memory. We expect polished entrances, perfect group photos, carefully choreographed laughter. Through the lens of social media, everyone is expected to perform. And maybe the bigger question is not whether Roora or the Lobola ceremony is good or bad, but whether we still remember what it was originally for. Long before Roora became an event, it was a relationship. The union of two families was the center of the occasion. Roora was never simply a transaction. It was about connection, commitment, and responsibility. A young man and his family would formally introduce themselves to the bride's family, and what was exchanged carried deep symbolic meaning. A badza, a hoe, wasn't just a tool. It represented labor, provision, and survival. In a time where iron was incredibly difficult to mine and produce, offering a hoe carried massive weight. It proved a man's ability to work, clear the land, and preserve life through his own sweat. And when a family could not afford cattle or tools, the Shona culture offered another path, a practice known as chigarira or kutema ugarire. The young man would actually move in with the bride's family, offering his physical labor for years instead of material wealth. Because what mattered wasn't the currency, it was the contribution, the effort, and the responsibility. Even the bride price was intentionally left incomplete. There is a profound reason behind the traditional proverb, Roora hariperi, marriage payments are never finished. It guaranteed that the new mukwasha would continuously come back to the bride's family, thereby strengthening the bond over a lifetime. The goal was never simply payment, it was relationship. So if the original purpose was connection, how did we end up here? The moment a culture enters a cash economy, its meaning begins to change. With urbanization, cattle slowly became cash, and symbolic appreciation slowly became aggressive negotiation. Questions began entering the process that previous generations rarely had to consider. Does she have a degree? Does she work abroad? And what currency does the groom earn in? Slowly, value started being measured differently. Certain amounts became insulting, status entered the room, and social media amplified everything. The wealthiest families and social media quietly began setting standards that ordinary people could not keep up with. And in difficult economic times, some families began seeing Roora not as tradition, but as a means of survival. To many young couples today, marriage is no longer just emotional commitment. It's financial survival. To meet modern expectations, many couples begin their marriages heavily in debt. Others delay the ceremony entirely, waiting on a financial milestone they may never actually reach, and some delay the process altogether, choosing cohabitation, which we casually call kubikamapoto. Roora is no longer only culture, it's also content. TikTok, Instagram, highlight reels, everything is designed for the camera first and experience second. Perfect entrances, perfect outfits, perfect reactions. Everything is carefully edited into a beautiful memory, even if the financial reality behind it is a different story. But underneath all this, modern African couples are carrying a unique historical weight. They've inherited two entirely separate massive marriage systems. First, you have the traditional ceremony, and then you have the white wedding. What was once a family-centered process now carries with it church expectations, Western luxury expectations, and massive social pressure. The white wedding stopped being an optional addition and became the main event. Hundreds of guests, venue costs, entertainment costs, and public gift announcements. Even the guests are expected to perform status. And now many couples are expected to afford it all at once. Culture survives because it evolves, but every evolution raises a difficult question. What are we preserving and what are we performing? There is no denying that times change and cultures that refuse to adapt eventually get left behind. But there's a distinct difference between evolution and losing meaning. If traditions become difficult for the ordinary people to sustain, what happens to the culture itself? Maybe the real challenge is not choosing between tradition and modernity, but figuring out how to preserve meaning without turning culture into a performance.